Hey everyone, welcome to Dirtying the Frame. We can tell we're in a little bit of a different frame, but we're still in our home studio.
We're jazzing it up. We're keeping it fresh.
We're keeping it fresh. It's like what we like to do.
I would say a lot of our humor that the people like is our cutting back and forth between us. We're losing that
Yeah.
this time, so maybe we can swivel.
I like that idea. This is good. Or I can like put my finger in your nose just to keep it fresh.
Should we start over?
I don't think he liked that idea. Hey guys, welcome to Dirtying the Frame. Today we are talking about...
Jurassic Park, because I'm dressed like a zookeeper for
You
some
look
reason?
great.
Okay, all right, cool.
You look great.
Thanks.
We are talking about, finally, the moment has arrived.
I've been waiting all year.
He's been so excited about this movie.
It's finally a real fucking film. Okay, it's not a guy flying around with laser beams out of his eyes.
From the man who loved...
A spin-off. Or fucking... Brie Larson's tank top.
Brie Larson's tank top 22 says.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for bearing with us. Our cameras are being serviced, so we're just running off a DSLR. You only have one angle. The biggest movie of the year dropped. We're so excited to review it.
And we've got the smallest camera I've ever seen. We're on a GoPro.
Yeah. Motorola Razr phone.
We're talking about, can you guess it by now? Killers of the Flower Moon.
Hey, you've got pretty skin.
Thank you so much.
What color is that?
Translucent. This is exciting. Asaad's been very excited about this film. I will talk about my morning before I went to see this movie. Someone texted me and said, hope you drink a coffee before. It's 3.5 hours long. And I was like, oh, damn it, Asaad, you liar. He could have told, he knew. They knew.
They knew.
He knew it was long, and he didn't tell me on purpose. Am I right? I hate movies that are just too, I'm just like,
honest,
edit it.
I thought it was 3 hours. When they had added the extra 27 or 28
Yes.
minutes or something, I was like,
Yes.
damn, Marty. All right,
You're doing the
Marty.
most. Remember The Irishman? Ugh.
I do. I remember 76-year-old Robert De Niro trying to kick a guy.
I just spat all over myself. I was very upset.
You were. So where'd you see that?
Okay, I'm excited to ask you the same question. So I went and saw this movie at my beloved Alamo, which means I saw it a week later because Alamo has about 10 seats per theater, and when a movie like this comes out, it's sold out for months.
God bless them.
I had to
They
go.
only have like 2 seats.
Yeah, but luckily I had to. I think I went in the. No, I went in the evening.
Okay.
And managed to stay awake the whole time. Can you believe it? Asaad, where did you see this movie?
I think no matter when you saw the movie, it was the evening by the time you got out.
Honest to God, I started at noon and I was out of there by 8 p.m.
Yeah, I had to cancel plans. I was in Dubai. I just had a birthday, so I was in Dubai. And as me being devoted to you and devoted to the DTF podcast.
Yes.
Like I have
our
to
swimmers.
Because guys, yeah, swimmers, thank you for joining. Our YouTube members, our Patreon members who are our swimmers. We have a big thing about seeing the big movie on opening weekend.
Yes.
We think that's a big difference because for a lot of reasons, mainly because the crowd is there. You get energy from the crowd. You see it like 2 or 3 weeks later, you might lose 70% of that crowd.
Yeah, the buzz is worn off. The energy is a little bit lower about the film. Or maybe even you've heard something about it. So Asaad saw this movie in Dubai. At the world's largest mall or something?
World's largest mall. You can. It was 110 degrees in Dubai. I don't know what that is in Celsius because they told me that. I don't know how to set it to my room.
Oh,
27
yeah.
degrees, maybe 27
Who
Celsius.
knows?
I was in Dubai, and because I'm devoted to you, I was like, let me watch this movie on opening day at the world's biggest mall that has one of the world's biggest aquariums.
Cool. Did you go see that?
Snowboard inside of it. You can spelunk.
What's that?
Inside of it, like dive.
Spelunking means diving?
I think so.
Crazy.
Someone check us if we're wrong. They will.
I've heard the word, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, so saw it in there.
It's a fun word.
And it had, I don't know the correct language. I should have learned when I was there. Subtitles at the bottom. It was still in English, but it had the subtitles at the bottom. And I was the only non-Dubai person, Emirates
Super
person
cool.
there. But yeah, if you want some like sesame seeds on your popcorn, you can do that over in Dubai.
Did you get anything cool as a snack, or did you just go normal?
Yeah, they hand out Lamborghinis in Dubai. It's just like, yeah.
Amazing. No wonder it's so expensive to go there.
Yeah, I got you a camel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it died in transit.
Oh, well, that took a really big, that was like such an emotional roller coaster for me.
Should we start again?
I don't want to.
I apologize.
Well, my beloved Alamo probably isn't as cool. They didn't offer me sesame seeds on my popcorn, but I did have a vodka martini. So.
Oh.
So I guess Sarah's doing okay.
I thought the DTF pod was about Gummy Rating.
Well, I knew I was like 3.5 hours. I'll fall asleep if I eat a gummy on this movie.
Wouldn't you fall asleep on Vodka martini?
After 3, I did.
Oh, okay.
But that's a story for another pod. Okay, so let's jump into it we're not starting with trailer trash because we're saving that for the end.
Yeah.
We're going to go Logline. So hopefully some of you have seen this movie or maybe even read the book. I did not read the book. And I guess before we get into this, I did want to kind of give a little precursor of saying my review of this film is strictly, from an entertainment purpose standpoint. I know I'm a white person, I'm a white woman, I have a lot of privilege, and I don't particularly probably am not the person to be talking about these people's stories, but purely from an entertainment standpoint, from watching a movie, just my thoughts on it. I would also, I don't know like how it's being received, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of say that first, and I hope that this is a very triggering movie, and I hope that this podcast isn't triggering for anybody. It talks about a lot of, really delicate things that are still happening today.
It's important just to mention that when something is this insider baseball, which is a very Caucasian term to address an indigenous film movie, but like when something is this close to a specific culture, to have people that don't represent the culture giving harsh critique on it or like deep diving, there's always going to be a sense of like, we don't have a connection to the source material. At all. So this is just two bozos who love going to the movie theaters and love good films. Yeah. Talking about their love for it.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Agree. So just now that that's out of the way, we'll get to the logline. But okay. When oil is discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. That logline makes it sound like a white savior movie, right? The FBI steps in to save the world.
Detective
it's like
John Adams.
Yeah, and where are they now when all these women are still going missing? Geez, yeah, right. Like Pocahontas was about. John Smith.
Yeah.
Okay,
That guy say Pocahontas too, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. J. Edgar Hoover just went in and grabbed her. Married her, actually, too. Okay, so first thoughts. I will preface this by saying I have purposefully not told Asaad what I thought about this movie.
We haven't talked about it, guys.
On purpose because I'm so interested to see if he thought that I actually liked this movie or not.
We haven't talked. Usually, we talk about just a little bit.
Oh yeah, usually we'll kind of
at all, except for Sarah saying how much she likes saying, "You got pretty skin."
I really like it when you say that to me. Yeah.
We haven't talked to each
I'll
other
tell
about it at all.
Damn it, I couldn't land the joke because I don't have one. Esthetician? Is that someone who does facials? Yeah, I'll tell my esthetician.
Let's run it back in the normal time.
Okay, go ahead.
Except for when Sarah says, "You got pretty skin."
Yeah. I like it when he tells me that. I'll tell my esthetician you think so.
That's natural? You look like you're giving birth.
I felt like it. I felt like
it's weird being this close to you on the pod.
I know.
You're
stop
real.
touching me. It's so weird.
Okay, right.
Okay, so...
I know I'm a man. I can do this.
So right. My fault. No, you have to be a white man. Then you have the privilege to just grab me and take whatever you want.
Oh, I hate not being white.
So the reason that I was so excited to... This is just not my kind of movie.
Oh, wait. Before you go into that, I'm very sorry. I think we add on first thoughts. Maybe it's just this time. One word. I know, I'm putting you really on the spot.
All right. I got my word.
And then we'll go into first thoughts.
Okay. Before we get into that, I do want to say why I was like, I was not excited by any of the trailers. I didn't think it looked good. And then when someone hit me with 3.5 hours, I have not liked a movie that's been over 2 hours, I don't think, ever. It just pisses me off. I'm like, edit, dude. Like, you're not that great. The chutzpah that you have to have, that you have to have.
Stamina?
Yes, just to be
I
like.
think the Bear season 2 was like 3 hours.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what are we doing here that you think you have the right to make your movie that long? It's that good of a film. It has to be 3.5 hours long. Yeah. Okay, so my first word is, you go first. Go. What's your word?
What's my first word? I should have been thinking about it when I asked
you. Okay, I'll ask because I was. My first word was surprising.
Okay. All right, cool. Should I give my first word or should you go into your first thoughts?
Go ahead.
We need to format this show better, guys. We're in like show 20.
You just threw it at us. Let's go.
I know,
first word. What's your first word? Or one word.
Fatiguing. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
All right. I'm very interested by this. I'm nervous. Can you tell? I'm nervous. All right. My first thoughts. I'm now I'm starting to, okay. Okay. So the reason that I was so excited to see this movie, on purpose because I'm so interested to see if he thought that I actually liked this movie or not. It just pisses me off. I'm like, edit, dude. Like, you're not that great. The chutzpah that you have to have, that you have to have. I'm very interested by this. My first thoughts was I was very surprised I liked that movie.
Surprised?
I liked the movie.
Why?
I thought for 3.5 hours I was like, this is going to be boring. I'm going to not be able to follow the story because it'll get too convoluted. If you need 3 hours to explain something, I'm just like, I'll probably fall asleep, miss part of it, not understand what's happening, get bored. I wasn't bored for 1 minute in that 3 hours and 27 minutes. I didn't get tired. I didn't get bored. I was just sitting there. I was
Why do you think that was?
good filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my first thoughts. I'm starting to think Asaad didn't like the movie.
If you guys go to see as many movies as we do, which no one does, we're like probably in the 3%. It's probably the only thing we're in the 3% of.
Oh yeah, it's my biggest accomplishment.
It's fair to say the quality of movies maybe hasn't gone down over the last like 5-10 years because all the talent's going to TV.
Mm-hmm.
But it's harder to find good movies. Every year gets harder to find a good film, and the quality of filmmaking goes down because of streaming platforms, because of the success of TV. And I say that to say, once you see a movie that actually has careful, detailed, and masterful filmmaking, nowadays, for me, it jumps off the screen. Where I'm like, whoa, I forgot what a really detailed film and a well-directed film feels like. Because I see so much bullshit.
Right, and would you say, not to get us too far off track, but I would say that's because there's so much content. Like, we're inundated with content, so it's hard to find the good stuff, you know?
That, and I just don't think they're making a lot of good movies nowadays.
Okay.
It's just different because TV is so successful. All of the talent is going to TV. You know, like we used to live in a world where the good actors just did films. The good directors just did films. The good writers just did films, you know? And now, like, David Fincher can do, like, a 6-part series on FX about this TV show he likes. So, like, the talent is more spread out. So you just don't get better films.
Yeah.
Plus, like, it's harder to... The movie industry's in trouble, and it's hard to justify big budgets for films nowadays. And so you just get tighter restrictions and not people taking, like, less risk in films. So you just get less good films.
Yeah, because the CEOs want more money in their pockets.
Yeah, that's always been the thing. You know, that's always been
so
the
it's
thing.
like
But
when you just
but you were allowed to take more risk back in the day. I don't mean to sound like an old timer, but with this film, the biggest thing was like, oh man, I forgot. I was like jarred in the first 20 minutes. I was like, oh, this is real filmmaking. You know.
Okay.
First thoughts on it was, you know, it's a broad thought, and I will say, there's something happening that I actually am going to really be fervent in calling bullshit on, or admit that I might just not be getting it.
Okay.
And it's one of the two. But films that take on a serious subject matter feel like they have to be 3 hours. And I don't buy it.
I agree.
It feels like they have to commit to a runtime.
Right.
Because, like, I can't tell a slavery movie in an hour and a half. That would be
I have to
insensitive.
take it serious. Yeah.
I have to take it serious. And it seemed like, my first thoughts on it were like, story needed to be told, a story I wasn't familiar with, great acting, great directing, and it's given me all the things I've lacked from other films, and I found it indulgent, though. It's like, whoa, they're really spending a lot of time in this middle of the movie. I felt like people were getting murdered for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and while they filmed it well and acted it well, I'm like, I couldn't stop, and I hate being a snob. I thought this was going to be my movie, but I couldn't stop seeing time cuts in it. It's like, that's a time cut. That's a time cut.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, you could have saved time. Like,
you could have cut that scene. You could have cut that scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I did sense a bit that my first thing that I wrote under first thoughts was a white man the person to tell this story? No.
Maybe. I don't know. They went through story rewrites a couple times from which perspective it was. And I know even, like, Leonardo DiCaprio had some input on it, too.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get to this before I forget, because I didn't write it down, so I don't want to forget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese went public saying sometimes they would laugh and just be exasperated by how much Leonardo DiCaprio was going off script.
Oh.
Martin Scorsese openly said that.
Oh, funny.
Martin Scorsese's like 90 years old. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's like, Leo.
They said it in a derogatory way, kind of?
I don't think derogatory. It's like, yeah, sometimes we would just laugh and sometimes we were exhausted how much Leonardo was going off script.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they do. I agree. Now, as much as I would say, like, I was shocked that I didn't get bored in this movie. Like, I think that they kept the action kind of going, and that worked for me. I will say, yeah, there definitely could have trimmed out, 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
They really make you sit with the dead bodies, huh?
Okay, yes, and again, I'm torn in between two things like I was before. Either I'm not getting through our film, or I'm just like, I'm sensing the bullshit in it. With the dead bodies, there was a kid from Reservoir Dogs, an actor for Reservoir Dogs, I don't know if you heard about this, where he said he's an indigenous person. Is that fair to say? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
And he thought the movie was unnecessarily graphic.
Okay.
And we joke a lot about on this pod, guys. We weave in and out. I think even Get Out was our first time getting really serious about race relations and social.
We talked about it for a long time. Yeah.
Did we? Okay, so we won't stay on it this much.
No,
if you
please.
don't want to talk about it, but it is a thing where I grew up as a black person knowing that in TV and film, it was a lot easier showing a black person die. It just happened all the time. I remember watching House and being like, oh, if the character's black, he's probably got and even black kids.
Women too.
Yes, yeah, and it was always like, especially if it's a white kid, they would never show a dead white
kid.
Oh
no, or even a dog. Usually,
or even a dog. But minorities, but I only saw
famously
as black when I was younger, just because I was like looking for people like me.
No,
it's like easier to show them dying.
You're absolutely right. That's like a known fact. If you go back and watch I don't know how much better we've gotten. Hopefully a lot. Probably not. But like Law and Orders, things like that, like it's always so much easier to digest someone like a person of color being killed because you're not having to see yourself get murdered on film.
Most of the people were white filmmakers and white, so it was easier to get that approved to have a minority. I couldn't stop thinking about that in this film, especially when I read about the kid. I'm sorry, I don't know his name from Reservoir Dogs, mentioning it too, who isn't like a Native American person. I was like, damn, man, I'm really torn in between. Cause I always take art over artist. People don't like that, but I'm always torn in being like, Martin Scorsese probably wanted to be like, hey, this is so horrific. A horrific thing happening
that's it.
To these people.
I'm
going to make you motherfuckers sit through it. I'm not going to skim over it. It's like when sometimes people justify like rape scenes and stuff it's like tough to watch. Like, no, we need you to feel uncomfortable for this person because it's that serious.
Did you think it worked?
In this movie?
Yes.
No.
And what, you thought it was gratuitous?
I did.
I thought.
But in history, it was gratuitous,
Right.
It was,
well, that's the thing, right? Like, I thought it worked because of that. I was like, well, they're really making you sit with us, and they're not just being like, okay, on to the fun part of the story where Leo's gonna get too drunk.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, it was maybe a little bit like, all right, we get it, Marty, you're a big hero, like, you said he's like 90, so I probably won't have to worry about getting cast in a film with him, right? Offending him.
Well, that's him calling you right now.
Marty, hello, my favorite director.
He wants you to play an indigenous person.
I'm in. But I will say, like, yeah, it did feel a little like, pointed. But I agree with it. I think it was a good choice to not skim over the.
Again, like I have a lot of feelings about film, but I will openly admit I'm on the fence about something like this. I don't know if someone who purposely dodges like slave movies and black struggle films, as I call them, like, I don't know if I could have sat through a movie of 3 hours of people that look like me being killed like that. You know what? I do know. I couldn't have. I would have felt a real way about it. But the thing is like, I always try to protect the art. It's just kind of tricky. In this film, it's kind of tricky. I'd like that he's making us sit in the comfortability of it.
Right.
There's a lot of like films I see on like perspective from a female that I feel uncomfortable, and when I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, that means I'm supposed to be watching this.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to feel comfortable because women don't feel comfortable in this situation.
Well, and that's my question, right? Like, I think he did that to make people like me uncomfortable watching it.
If it worked for you, it worked.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I also can see your perspective where you're like, if that's, I don't know. I guess they were women, so there is that, and seeing them kind of like in various states of like undress and things, just like it's uncomfortable. But it wasn't even that kind of movie. But when they had those moments, they really made you kind of sit with it.
Yeah.
My next first thought was, so about first maybe 10, 15 minutes of this movie, I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio's face is so famous and so recognizable. I am not going to be able to get lost in this character or this movie because he's too famous for this part. I changed my tune.
Ernest Burkhart.
I changed my
That was
fucking
not Leonardo DiCaprio.
tune.
That was Ernest Burkhart.
I changed my tune halfway, not even halfway through, but yeah, 15, 20 minutes in, I was like, he was so phenomenal. I was able to get lost in his character, and I just sat there and I thought to myself, like, how does someone who's been so famous for so long and who's been like, and so rich for so long, right? Like this man, we only see him on yachts with 20-year-old supermodels, like just like living his best life. How does he know how a normal person talks? You know, how does he know how a normal person acts in a scenario? You know, like, but I in saying this opinion to a couple of other people, I didn't realize apparently Leonardo DiCaprio is famously quite, you know, really gets into his roles and like, and is a little bit quirky and maybe a little bit off his rocker, which maybe makes him a phenomenal actor. But his performance in this, I'm like, give him, I don't know if this is a problematic movie. It might very well be. But give him all the awards from where I'm sitting. I think he played such a dynamic character too.
He was dumb.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
He played dumb
Dynamic,
so well.
dumb character,
But that's
yeah.
the thing is like I mean, I don't want to like jump into too much of the film, but it's like if he was doing these horrible things, but he really did love his family. And so like that part of it doesn't make any sense to a normal like smart human being, but
I'm gonna put a pin in that because I have a question for you
Okay.
about that. But no, keep going. I'm just like I want to revisit that.
yeah.
Did he love his family?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I thought it was I thought he did a phenomenal job of acting.
Can you give
in
us
it,
a
yeah.
breakdown of the movie really quick, like not the log line, but just
Yeah, like kind of what happens in it.
So the people, in case people are
Right. So, and stop me because you know I'm terrible with my memory. But yeah, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is fresh out of the army. I don't know what war was going on at that time, but fresh out of the army, and he goes to live on Osage land with his uncle, who is played by Robert De Niro. Do you want to take over? You have something good there? Or?
Ooh, I have the book.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the...
I'll just keep telling it. It's.
But it might
I think I pretty much have the grasp on it.
Okay.
So he Osage are the like most wealthy people on Earth at this point because they were these indigenous people who found oil on their land and struck a deal with the American government to get royalty fees on any kind of like oil that they sold. So they were very, very wealthy, and they had all this land that was just making them more and more money. And so you could get work as a white person back then, like as a driver for them, as a maid for them, a cook. And Leonardo DiCaprio's uncle, Robert De Niro, lives on this land as just like a cattle farmer. So he's like living in peace with the Osage people. He's a white person, but he's like, they kind of are all, and he's seeing like white people are starting to marry the Osage people, and basically he tells Leo, like, get in with some of these people, and if you can marry them, then when they die, because they don't live as long as us or something, like their health is bad, that you can inherit the money, or like you can get in on some of this wealth. And that's kind of what these white people have been doing, is trying to kind of weasel their ways in, get married so that they can make or steal some of this money, or kind of like get in on some of the wealth.
Yeah, you did a good. Thank you for that. That's a good recap. And it's such an interesting story. This is like one of those, the truth is always stranger than fiction. These indigenous people were pushed to this part of land, and then oil was there.
Amazing.
And then they struck it rich.
Amazing.
And
suck it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, just like, and it's really sick. We all know how sick American history is, you know. But like, and then were murdered for their wealth on a place they were pushed to that they discovered oil. You know? And not to mention that, but like because of the restrictions they had, they didn't have all this money. They were rich. They were wealthy. It
was doled out to them from the white man, so they didn't even really have like full access to it. That was one thing. You had to make a case for it. Yeah. To have your money to these people that was rightfully theirs. You know? It was their money to spend however they want, but they had to go and say like, oh, it's almost like, you know, being a kept man. And if I was the sugar mama, you'd have to come to me and be like, I want to buy these shoes. Is that okay?
Do that, right, for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what have you done for mama lately? Give mama some sugar. It felt weird saying it. I'm sorry. Do you feel harassed?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But you understand. So that was kind of the idea. And they show that at the beginning. They have to go in and be like, you know, they're like, oh, well, you spent all this money on steaks. Like, did you really need to buy steaks for dinner? Like, maybe, you know, take it easy. And they're just sitting there kind of like, okay, cool. Also worth mentioning, not as famous as Leo, but Lily Gladstone who plays the lead in it. Did she work for you? I thought she was phenomenal. I thought she acted really well. Her character was weird, like she had to be kind of stoic, but in some of those like tighter scenes and those like scenes with her and Leo, like I'm like you're a great actor. I think she's a really good actor.
I can't believe it took, I don't know how many minutes are we in on this pod. How many minutes are we in?
Probably like 15.
15?
30.
Are we really?
I stopped it late, so I mean I started it late, so
13, right? Okay.
More than that, but as I started it late.
No, I'm just saying it's criminal that it took us this long
to talk
mention her.
So you agree?
I have so many things about her. I could probably do 2 pods on her, but like
she's with Kai's agent.
No kidding.
And she did a movie with my friend
Hell yeah.
Ray. Yeah.
So cool. They a couple things, just addressing what you did. That to me, movies don't work like this. But once you casted her, I'm like, I wish the movie was told from her perspective.
Yeah.
Because she could have held it.
Yeah.
And all the things you said about Leonardo DiCaprio, which he's earned over his career, that like he plays a dunce guy that's conniving and does deal with a little bit of mixed emotions because he has a feeling towards family, but also is greedy and wants to make his uncle proud. I don't know if it's his uncle.
Yeah.
Wants to follow his uncle's plan. Leonardo comes into this movie with, 40 years of expertise, and this lady not only holds it with him, it's like she kind of takes over some of these scenes, man.
She's a force.
Where Leo's in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
She kind of takes over some of these scenes where it's like, whoa.
And
it's because of the dynamic of their characters, but it's because she's like the almost the alpha in there. You know, when they're courting each other.
She's the one with the power. She's still. She's the one who's has to be composed because he's kind of this drunk idiot. That's kind of like you and me. I'm the drunk idiot, and you're the one who has to be composed. Make sure I'm okay.
Yeah. No, but I was. Go ahead.
I'm so glad that we touched on it. I think she was a force. She was a force for sure. The acting in this was.
Yeah, and
pretty much top notch.
Because
yeah.
Everybody was good. Brendan Fraser. But everybody was good. But it's so hard for me, who's acted lightly, like very lightly, right, in our stuff. For me, naturally, it is one of the hardest things to play a person who doesn't talk a lot and doesn't emote a lot. Cause
especially next to someone who's doing the most,
yes,
you know.
Because it always looks like you're doing nothing.
Right.
And we talk about like having a lot brooding and how Daniel Kaluuya did it in Get Out very well. But like to be able to be still, not emote, and still make you feel things is a really like a master class level ability that she had in this. And she was doing it with one of the best actors of our time, you know, most of the scenes.
And what my acting coach would always call it was the boiling pot. So you want to be a lid of boiling water, and you never want that lid to boil over. Like it's way more interesting to watch. Will it? Oh, will it? Yeah. Is it gonna? Oh, it got really high. Is it gonna boil over? That was her. Like you can see the emotions bubbling under the surface, but you don't see anything over the top. Yeah. And I mean, great point to say. Like, let's see, how many? She's got some credits, but like, yeah, she's got some credits, but you know. I don't think she's led a film like that. And she was in First Cow. Did you know?
Oh, shit.
But Chief Factor's wife, so who knows how big of a role that was.
And this is a tough thing to talk about. We try to be really transparent, and sometimes that verges on like complicated race issues on the pod. And thank you guys for being like a safe space for us to land, hopefully, when we do talk about it, because we can be clumsy about it, and we apologize if we are sometimes. But because people haven't been afforded opportunities historically in film, it ends up being hard to cast them now.
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? So Leo's led huge blockbuster movies his whole life. Like this is what you were saying earlier. And so I'm looking at her IMDb, and she's got roles, you know, she's worked. That being said, like Morning Shift Concierge, The Rancher, you know, Girl Number 2, Sunshine First Rate, like these roles are small. And then she got thrown into this like, hey, be the lead in a film that's about your character. Stand next to Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, and she hit it out of the park. Good for you, Lily. Great job.
Yeah.
Nailed it. You stepped up to the plate. You were ready.
The point I'm trying to make there is it's really hard to get a great actor from a specific demographic, race, or
especially,
creed.
I mean,
you haven't fostered years and years of giving those people opportunity. So this is the tricky part that I'll say, but like sometimes I'll see a trans person in a series or a film, and I'll be like, oh, they're not that good of an actor. And it's not that person's fault. It's because you haven't been giving trans people opportunity for 20 years. So there's like, that's a first generation trans actor.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's why whenever there's a Native American film made or with indigenous people in it, I'm like, oof. Because they haven't had the opportunity to act, because film has always historically ignored them, to get a performance like this, I'm just like, whoa, that's, I don't know, it's like, I feel like it's casting from I don't know, that could be a
smaller
ignorant,
pool, yeah.
But it feels like a smaller pool, you know, but I don't know, not to put too fine of a point on it, but just really blown away by her. And I'll be honest, like, this is one of those movies, Sarah, where I can't tell you if I, like, hated it or loved it. I'm really in the middle in it. Like, I didn't dislike it because the craft is so good everywhere. You know, the set design, the actors, the directing, the writing, it's so good everywhere.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like, you can't shove all of your favorite food ingredients at the same time into your mouth and it's going to taste good automatically. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I think this was that for me. Everything about it was good. For me, I think it's the runtime and where we stayed in, like, the middle of the movie that lasted so long for me that I'm like, oof, maybe the execution missed me a little bit.
Okay.
You know?
I have a question. I don't know if I just put it in my first thoughts because this drove me nuts, and I was like, I gotta ask Asaad. I even tried to Google it, and I couldn't find it. What did the mosquito represent? There's like 2 or 3 times in the third act that they really make a meal of Leo's character kind of like hitting these mosquitoes off of him. And I was like, does it represent? And then I was like, well, trying to Google it because I thought maybe it was like a subtle sign of showing like that malaria got him in the end or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I did.
Or if it was like a nagging.
That's kind of my first thought once you brought it up.
And they must have CGI'd this mosquito. I mean, it was for a point, unless it was just a choice that Leo made of being like, you know, he was so under stress, like so stressed and like, and everything was kind of getting to him.
Yeah.
You know, it could have certainly been that.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to the next category of Rose and Thorn, or do you have any more first thoughts?
No, let's do it.
Rose and Thorn. My rose was, I think you can't get any better than this. You get to see in this film, worth the price of admission, worth the 3 hours, Robert De Niro spanks Leonardo DiCaprio. He gets spanked with a paddle, and you get to see it on film, and I think, now this is pure cinema.
Yeah.
Oh, did you notice Josh Close was in that scene?
I didn't. He was?
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
1, 2, 3, you please.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was in that whole scene where, anyway, one of my acting class friends.
Yeah, I don't.
He got
feel
spanked.
like that's like a weird deep corner of the internet, a porn category.
Oh, totally. I mean, we've all been waiting. The moment we've all been waiting for. It was when it happened. I'll admit, I did roll my eyes a bit. I was like, all right, this is a little silly and like goofy, like maybe not necessary. But I did choose it as my rose because I was like, when in movies are you ever going to get to see De Niro spanks DiCaprio?
I would love to see that written
physically
on the script.
Spanks DiCaprio. Yeah.
And then like Robert De Niro, class act, probably 70 years old.
Yeah.
Who knows? I would like him just like asking Martin Scorsese, them have a full adult conversation. Like, do you want me to just like?
Yeah, what's the angle of the paddle? And like, Leo, how hard is acceptable? Is this okay? Like, you know, I need your consent. Like, you can go a little harder. You can go a little harder. What was your rose?
I hope you dig this. You might hate it. It was me relinquishing, surrendering. I know how someone who's been in jail for 40 years just like gives themselves up to God. I finally relinquished and finally accepted Jesse Plemons is fucking phenomenal, man.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit.
He is so... And I just like...
He doesn't come into the third act, and when he does, you're just like...
What
his stillness
hell?
And the way he delivers line, you're just
and
like...
I've been in denial because just the aesthetic-wise, I'm
yeah,
so
we
shallow.
joke about him
like,
looking like Matt Damon.
Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I don't love him in the screen. And I'm just like... My rose is like finally admitting... How many times am I going to see Jesse Plemons pop up in a film and he's just going to crush it before I admit that he's just one of our finest actors?
Oh, yeah.
And
he's not in this movie at all.
No, he's just in the third act, and I'm like, oh, and it's in safe hands. Once he's on screen, I finally, just personally, I was like, oh, I know I'm in safe hands for however long he's going to be in this movie.
So Jesse Plemons was your rose.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk shit, but a white man was your rose of this movie?
I think he's half Tatanka.
Nope.
He's not?
Two white men was my rose, so that's even worse.
Spanking each other.
Well, De Niro is famously married to a person of color.
I think he's like Italian, so I don't know what you whites call Italian.
White, I think. Unclear.
Okay.
Well,
no, that's my rose. I think Jesse played. It's just like a moment for me personally that I was like, this guy is so fucking good.
I probably can't stand up, huh?
Let's do it.
My thorn,
Okay.
I can do it sitting down.
All right.
Was Brendan Fraser. Jesus, Lord have mercy. What were we doing? What were we doing in this movie? What were we doing? It was like someone invited freaking Bugs Bunny to be in this movie. It was embarrassing. It was uncomfortable. He was overacting like no one has overacted. He was in a multicam. He was on Will and Grace acting as a lawyer, and they CGI'd him into this movie. What happened? How did that happen? Were they like, was Scorsese like, oh, you just won an Oscar? We don't need a rehearsal.
Just come in and play. Do you remember the infamous Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones?
Yes.
That was more fitting in that.
100%. I believed that more than I believed
Maybe Khaleesi
that
made a stop.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That she got a little PSL on her way to the meeting. Definitely. That was a meeting. They were they were meeting about who should, take over the throne. And she got extra whip, and she got a pup cup for her dragon.
Pumpkin spice. That was more fitting. No,
guys.
Here's the thing.
I'm not exaggerating.
I'm along with Hollywood because no one loves a comeback story more than Hollywood. Hollywood loves this. Every year
put Brittany in it. She would have done a better job.
Facts. But Hollywood loves this, and I get sucked into it too a little bit where it's like this person's career that we thought was over, they had a bad career, and they have this one huge role where it's like this person's back. When I saw that, because I saw The Whale, which was like Brendan Fraser's back, that was terrible. Fucking hated it. But
I didn't see it.
But I was glad for him because had Hollywood brand. I was like, oh, cool, he got a big win later in his career. But then in this movie, I was like, oh, so he's staying, huh?
No, we're all set. We don't need him.
Oh, it's like when Grandpa comes to visit, like, and then he's like, oh, he's gonna be with us for a couple weeks. He's like, oh.
Honest to God,
it was visits, but he smells.
Guys, I'm not exaggerating. And my thought was in the film, I was like, Leo, whose face I've seen for so long, I can suspend my disbelief. Completely forgot who he was. Brendan Fraser, I saw in what was it called? Not Iron Man. He was the Frozen guy, Encino Man, right? Wasn't he in that?
Yeah.
Encino Man. That was like my shit when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And every scene he was in, there was another scene like in the courtroom where he was just kind of in the background. And I couldn't keep my eyes off. He was just chewing the scenery, they call it. Just like, he ruined this movie.
That's your thorn.
He ruined this movie. I'm mad about it. Please make me stop talking.
No, it's okay. Are you okay?
No, I'm pissed, dude.
You want to turn your chair around for a little bit?
Yes,
have a moment?
thank you so
Sorry,
much.
guys. Sarah's going through a lot. She dated a Brendan when she was young, and this Brendan reminds her of one.
I'm not that white. Brendan.
She dated a Brendan that made her watch Frasier, and it was just like a weird combination. My thorn.
If it's not Brendan Fraser, GTFO.
No, it's not. It's not. That seemed to be like we would mutually agree on Brendan Fraser. I think we would mutually agree on that. This fast forwards our story, but it's the last scene between Molly and Ernest.
Oh.
Not to give you too much.
So refresh my memory. So is that when they both meet? They both were taken.
Yeah.
Like they each have a car.
Molly has diabetes, and Leonardo DiCaprio is following Robert De Niro's wishes of let's kill these people off, make sure we get their money. So Leonardo DiCaprio starts putting some type of poison into her diabetic medicine. She's just getting worse, and now she's bedridden.
It's been given to him, and he knows that there's something in it.
Yeah.
But I believe maybe he believed it wasn't killing her, just slowing her down. Remember?
Oh,
they made kind of a big thing about being like, it's just slowing her down. It's just slowing her down.
Yeah.
Maybe he did realize at the end.
But for me, a lot of this movie was their relationship for me. And I thought it was heading towards this moment. And it might have worked for other people. But after she gets healthy, because she gets out of she actually goes to a real hospital, they start giving her proper medication. and they finally have this meet where Leonardo DiCaprio is in trouble because the FBI has sort of kind of apprehended him for all these killings. She asks him, "Was it you? Did you know he was like making me sick?" And he doesn't acknowledge it.
That one, okay, not.
And that's the last time you see them together.
Mm-hmm.
And and maybe it was my expectations that made this a thorn for me because I thought it was hurtling towards a moment of her actually finding out or like letting him know she found out, and it just kind of silently ended. And also, it's a great choice.
I thought it was an interesting choice.
It's an interesting choice, but it just really was unsettling for me as a viewer. Like, damn, that's the last time we see them together? Okay.
Well, that's a good point. I will say, and we're just going full spoilers now because...
yeah, sorry, I have to fast
no, but I think the interesting thing there is that the penultimate scene where they meet up in those, they get driven and he's just gotten out of jail and they meet, she says, "Come home," and she takes him home.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm thinking, as a viewer, you're sitting there going like, you don't know that like the only reason you're not sick anymore is because you haven't been getting this medicine from him. Like that's the only reason you've been starting to get better. Yeah. And she still has refused to believe it. And then when she asks him point blank, that's when she turns on him and he ends up going to jail.
Yeah.
Because she turns on him.
Yeah.
But if she hadn't, he could have been off scot-free, but she turned on him, and that was the moment, because we're still like, oh, you're still taking this guy back after that, after like all of this has happened, and I guess there was like this kind of, room for doubt in her mind, and then when she straight up asked him and he didn't deny it, that's when she could have made her decision that she's like, okay, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And we just didn't need to see it play out as, the thought process there. But I that's fair. That would have been.
But the thing is, it's like it fits her character. She was a silent person.
She's very
the whole time.
stoic.
She didn't get crazy the whole time. So it's fitting that she's like, I know you're lying. Do we have time to talk about their relationship?
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to what you said before. So you really thought he had a genuine love for his wife and his family?
I do.
It was just dunce.
I think he was dunce, and I think he also just kind of like was able to separate the two, right? So, and that was another point that I had written down. It was like he got so upset when he finds out, when he's in jail, he finds out that his daughter has died. And he had this whole breakdown about it, and he got so upset. And so did even Robert De Niro to some extent, even though his was probably a little bit more put on. I think that it was interesting because I'm like, he got so upset that his daughter died when really, like, had his plan continued, she would have died eventually anyways. Like, everyone would have died. But I think in his mind, he was able to be like, oh, well, we'll keep it separate. Like, we're killing off the rest of them, but not my people. I think he genuinely did love them.
Gosh, I just disagree.
Well, that's fine.
Or maybe he just loved the money so much more. Because I don't know if some of the most powerful scenes is when Molly is sick in bed and he's giving her medicine and he's crying because how sick she is. If he's knowing that medicine is slowing her down and they're having that dramatic of a moment, whew, man, I don't think that's dumb. I don't think that's dense. I think that's maniacal. And the truth is he's a puppet for Robert De Niro's character, but if he can sit in that scene with her crying for how long? Months?
See, I saw it a different way, right? Yeah. Like, I saw it like he was really like, this medicine's helping you. Like, I don't think he really realized that they were killing her. I think he was like, oh, she's just sick because she's, like, got the diabetes.
Interesting.
You know? And, like, she's not getting better.
Yeah.
But maybe he was crying because he felt guilt?
Well...
I mean, we could sit here and discuss till the cows come. There's a million. It would be really interesting to see an interview with Leo or if they answer the questions, like what was the actual like thought behind that, Accent police.
Okay. Is there a teeth police? Because Leo had some teeth.
Yeah, he had some teeth.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
My accent police. I detected accent.
Who?
The woman who played Anna, so the sister who was like a little loosey-goosey and drunk.
Oh, yeah, I liked her.
I liked her too. And again, I did look her up on IMDb. She hasn't had a lot of experience. She hasn't had a lot of work experience. So I will say I firmly place the blame on this in the accent coach, the dialect coach, which they certainly have on a movie this big. she was talking like a Southern belle like this when everyone else was talking like this. You know, it was like very like mid-Atlantic to like, and then she was like, well, y'all just trying to kill me. And I was like, what are you doing? What movie are you in?
Going for is what she's
I'm
doing.
probably peeking so loud. I'm sorry. I should start
Going
talking.
for is what she's doing.
She was just like, oh, I'm just getting drunk out here. Sit with me, Mama. And everyone else had just like a totally different accent. And I just thought that was wild. But again, I do not blame the actress. I thought she did an excellent job of not overplaying the drunk or underplaying the drunk. But her accent was all over the place. Or not in line with everybody else's.
Yeah, I feel it.
I have next Gummy Rating.
Okay. Since I'm sitting by you, do I get a Gummy Rating now?
I'd love to hear yours. I'm a bit. Before we get into Gummy Rating,
okay.
are you surprised to hear that I liked this movie?
I am.
I'm surprised to hear that you didn't.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you
Which
liked it.
says something about me because I should know by now you don't like any movie. Curmudgeon Corner.
Listen, swimmers and Last Second Season supporters, we will have an end of the year awards podcast. I don't know what we're titling it. Right now, it's roughly called the Sarah Ease. I don't think that works very well. It's a bad one.
The floaties.
The floaties I love.
That could be cute.
I will prove that I like movies. I'm sorry every pod I get on here I'm like, Casablanca was too Casa. But I loved Bottoms this year. I loved Talk to Me this year.
That's it. We ran out.
All right.
We ran out of movies. Oh, you love Theater Camp?
Love Theater Camp. Brie Larson's Tank Top.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming out soon. I can't wait till you have to pod about Brie Larson's Tank Top.
No, you're
Fuck
gonna
yes.
let me guess what's gonna happen. Sarah will be like, I actually liked it, and Asaad will be like, this movie stunk.
No, the trailer's already with my top 5 movies of the year. Can we both wear a white tank top to that?
Whatever you want.
Hell yeah. All right, cool.
Okay.
Gummy Rating.
Gummy Rating. Think about yours because you're gonna give one. I have 0 gummies.
Damn.
0 gummies.
0 gummies.
Not to say it's a perfect picture, but I don't think you need to be high to watch it. I wasn't.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have to be, you don't have to be.
Yeah, and I would say I'm with Sarah on that. I don't think this is a movie you want to be in. I mean, for me, when I take a gummy, if it's an emotional thing like this was,
Yeah.
it gets worse.
You just start crying.
So I'm with you. I think
It's not shrooms you're
go
taking,
sober. But still, even weed will make me like, oh. When I see bad things on weed, I'm like, it hits me harder.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is about Killers of the Flower Moon, guys, it is not fun. It's not fun. It's not supposed to be fun.
Oh, certainly not.
You're not in for a ride. You know, it's not an epic.
But I thought it was good, and that's another reason. I mean, I know we're talking Gummy Ratings practically and also just metaphorically.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really good film. I thought this was a really good picture.
Yeah.
I called it a picture. I stepped back into the 1920s to review this film. That's how good it was.
They got a good outfit over
It's
there.
a good picture.
They got a good outfit going over. Yeah, I think this movie, I was so excited for this movie. For some reason, even though I might have not liked it as much as you, which is maybe apparent, I didn't feel cheated by it, though.
Okay.
Because I still feel like it gave me a lot. I got to see Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio act together and share a scene for like 3 hours.
Lots of scenes, yeah.
Got a new surprising actor I didn't know about with Lily Gladstone.
And I thought De Niro, to be honest, since what's the movie that you really like, The Assistant or something? Is that what it's called? Yeah. That's not what it's called. The Intern. Yeah. And I thought I really liked what he did in that movie. Like, to be honest, like, he was just played like a normal guy. But, like, I know, don't cancel me here. But, like, I haven't seen him in a ton of stuff. Like, his classic stuff kind of all happened before I was a twinkle in my father's eye, or whatever they say. He was really good in this movie. And he wasn't doing the classic, like, Italian mob boss, kind of like what he's played in a lot of things. Yeah. He was playing an old Southern, a little, like, frail, a little, like, schmoozy guy, and I thought he did such a good job.
He's great. Hot take, Robert.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, he was playing a little bit different. I thought a different role than I've seen him in.
Yeah, and you know what's when male actors age? I think. Will you Google his age for me? It's tough for male actors.
I'll just text him.
Take on.
Hey Bob.
Hey Bobby D. Not to be confused with all the other Bobs in your phone.
80.
Pattinson. But you calling Robert Pattinson
Bob
is insane. Twilight Bob.
He's 80 years old. 80.
He's 80 years old.
Twilight Bob is how I have him saved in my phone. Twilight Bob.
That's how you have Robert Pattinson
Yeah,
say
it's just Bob, first name Bob, last name Twilight, Twilight guy.
You meet him at a party and not
Yeah.
even knowing it's him, just like Twilight.
And then
guy.
just like hashtag Team Jacob. I don't know. I'm sorry, I took it too far.
So Martin Scorsese's 80 years old. Robert De Niro's 80 years old.
Yeah.
They did have to get these shoots done by 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Every day.
So they get to Sizzler, get the early bird special.
No, I just.
By the way, no shade to Sizzler.
Very good. They're
Love
a sponsor.
Sizzler.
This segment is called the Sizzler Sizzlin' Topics, where you get 14 items.
No, that was great. I was like, oh my gosh, he's riffing. He's doing a great job.
But this, honestly,
Unlimited Sunday bars, if you mention the name of our pod.
But honestly, other than being bullshit, because this is serious, this cast was fully loaded, like our baked potatoes on Sunday. If you're, sorry,
He hates high-fiving me. Good job.
Amazing. It's rare that someone in that age range will try something fairly new. Because I haven't seen. I'm with you. I don't think he's played the character like this.
Right, and he was doing like a little Southern accent. It all worked for me.
He did
His
an
accent
intern,
coach.
too. Like the different characters he's taken on in his old age.
Yeah, that is cool. One point about this before we go to trailer trash that I do need to bring up, a real uncomfortable moment for everyone, I do believe, was when Marty cast himself in his own movie.
Marty, can I talk to you for a second?
Marty, we gotta talk to you.
I love your career, right?
You're so good at directing, so good at it, like really good.
Loved all your films. Loved The Departed. Thought it was weird you added a little rat at the end of it, but loved the movie otherwise. You've proven enough.
You're really good at what you do. I think you should just stay in your lane.
Yeah, and we want to encourage your creativity and new ventures in your old age.
If you want to start painting, maybe you could start painting in your
Pickleball?
sunroom on your days off. Pickleball, maybe not pickleball. He's a little old for that.
But casting yourself as not only an actor, but the actor that puts the icing on top of a
pivotal
movie,
moment.
We don't have the right to tell you not to. I just think
we're not saying not to.
We're not saying not to.
Because no one would tell you what to do.
You're Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, you're great.
We're saying we could have gone in a different direction.
Maybe we could just tighten that scene up a little bit, and by tighten I mean remove it.
And by it we mean
you.
Yeah, we mean you.
If you could remove yourself from the film, that'd be great.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us Mark Wahlberg's performance in The Departed. I really believed he was racist.
And Margot she'll validate you on the way out.
Thank you.
Margot Robbie, yes,
Thank you. Yeah,
for
she's
you.
Here.
Yeah. She walks you
as well.
she'll walk you there. That was good. That was good riffing. That was good. Yeah, that was good riffing. In all seriousness, Martin Scorsese takes the stage.
What the fuck, Martin?
It was very strange, and I could tell that he was trying to show. He was trying. You know, we live in a very tricky time. It's hard to say things without being, wrong or canceled, or the internet is a powerful thing. People can research and tell you why you're doing something wrong. That was not me, to be clear. That was not me throwing my voice. So I'm sure that he tried to do this out of not from like I'm going to be the star of this. I think it was probably to be like, I take this very seriously. It was like a moment where he stopped the film's narrative, and like read from a piece of paper like some facts.
Yeah, it already jumped from the storytelling already.
Which I did want to ask you about too. But just as a quick, I don't want to glaze over that point. Like that was insane. That took me right out of it, and it was so weird. And it was like, why would you stop your story?
7 a.m. Last day of shooting. 3 months. You're out in North Dakota.
Yeah.
Guys, Al Pacino's going to be here in an hour. Oh, Martin, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you. Al Pacino canceled.
Who could take his role? Who can step up and do it?
Know.
Give me a piece of paper. I'll read it.
I played Robin Hood when I was 7.
So that was a little wild. And what did you think about the way that they ended the movie? So they, instead of doing the classic, words across the screen, 7,000 Osage were killed, blah, 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 blah. They decided to go in a different direction, which I did think was interesting, and it was a creative leap. They decided to do like a 1920s scripted radio show to like wrap it up, to tell the story as if they were telling a scripted story about the real story that had happened, like telling about the deaths or whatever. To say, to give like an example, it would be like listening to a true crime podcast, basically. So like, but in the 1920s. What did you think about that? Because I was on the fence. I didn't think it worked, but then I also thought, well, it was an interesting alternative as a way, as opposed to doing the words on the screen.
I think we're right in the same boat on this. I think we talked about it when Creed 3 Oh, in the last like boxing scene when he took a really big risk. I think for me personally, similar to what you're saying, whenever film has been doing something for so long, I really appreciate when someone has the guts to try to revamp it or do something different.
Yeah.
And I end up with something like this appreciating the attempt more than the execution.
Okay.
Even if it didn't land for me.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
like,
a little
I actually
weird.
appreciate what they're trying to do there. It didn't work for me, but I really appreciate that you tried to do something a little bit different from one of the best directors ever.
Yes.
You know, that's cool that he's still innovating. You know.
And I will say, like, it does bring me back to go. It does when they do the silent screen with just the words on the screen telling you how many people died, how many people are unrecovered. Like, that does make you think, like, it does really sit there when you have to sit there in the silence of a movie theater and read these facts. It does really land. So it is hard to be like, good job doing something different, but maybe the other thing would have been better, you know?
2 questions really quick. Is Leonardo DiCaprio finally not hot
Yes.
for you?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's been a while. You said that like it's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, not hot. Since when, like, Don't Look Up?
Your man's not
Before?
hot.
Your man's not hot. Since Don't Look Up?
Before that.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, not hot?
Yeah, not hot.
Oh, you'll have to tell me when the last time you
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay.
Maybe like back, what was that Michelle Williams movie he did where he like had to get out of this crazy island and his wife was dead?
Sugar Island.
Maybe like around that time.
That's when he abandoned the hot. Okay.
Well, he got.
All right. Okay,
Second question.
The last one is he now our elder statesman? Like, do you think he'll be in films doing the Robert De Niro role and someone like the guy who played Elvis, was it Austin
Butler, yeah.
Austin Butler will be the young person. Do you think that's going to like...
I don't know.
torch
It's an
be passed?
interesting question because I don't think that we have movie stars anymore like we used to.
We don't, yeah, because
So I
celebrity's
don't.
more spread out now.
So I think it's like Leo's still the only like. He's one of the last movie stars. He's one of a dying breed. So it's not like there's another movie star to come along and be the younger movie star.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have that anymore.
Yeah, it's less special because of the evolution. Like, it's like flying on a plane. It used to be like, our parents were like,
You had to dress up to go in. Honestly, yeah, when I was young. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, you're right because of this.
But to answer your question, yes, I do think we will see that in his time. You know, Timothée Chalamet and him, kicking it sick on a beach somewhere and him giving him some old man advice. Okay, trailer trash. I got some new trailers, so I was excited. I don't know if you remember if yours were all not in English.
They're all Hindi. All Hindi trailers.
No, they weren't.
Seriously.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Anything cool?
Oh, yeah, Mabak,
Nope, let's not do that. Let's not ever do that. Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Doesn't feel great about it. Okay. Oh, so I'll take the reins here on the trailer trash. He's just, turn around. Just turn around real quick. Just for a couple minutes. You're in timeout. You're in timeout.
You try to make jokes and they're not funny.
Okay. Most excited to see. I've got an honorable mention for this too. So there's 2 new movies I'm excited to see. The Iron Claw. Have you seen? Ooh, you gotta watch this. You're gonna be excited. It's a wrestling movie.
Oh, I have seen like stills from the trailer. Okay.
Ooh.
Who's the main actor?
Zac Efron's Juice.
I'm gonna head out.
What do you call that stuff?
Steroids?
Steroids.
I'm gonna head out.
I know.
Did they validate here, you said?
Yeah, Margot Robbie will not escort you to your car, but only Marty.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Zac Efron being the lead of this film is one whole ass reason not to go see it, right? Like, this man is not an actor. He's not a good actor. I don't know why they would put him in it. I think it's just because he was willing to, like, do steroids for the role, honestly. Like, he was huge. Huge.
Jack Efron.
Oh, it's not Zac Efron. It's his brother, Jack Efron.
Six-pack Efron.
Jeremy Allen White is in it. Now, would have given him the lead, but maybe they tried and the scheduling didn't work with the Bears. All I can think. I'm interested. I'm interested because Jeremy Allen White's in it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see it because they did give Zac Efron a lead of a film, so maybe he shows us something. I don't think so. Yeah. But that was my most excited to see. My honorable mention of most excited to see is a movie called The Killer. Yeah. We've got Fassbender, and I'm thinking maybe we found... he was on our Hollywood top 5 actors Hollywood doesn't know what to do with. Maybe we found the right spot for him. Maybe he's
Next goal wins in The Killer.
I will say also, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, have you ever noticed that, like, aging white pretty actors, like male actors, start to look a little bit like older women as they age? Take a look at Michael. Okay, I'll go in timeout. Have you not noticed that? He's so pretty, and he started to look a little like...
To all the aging white men in Hollywood, we know you've had it so bad.
We're so sorry for saying that. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. We know you're delicate.
You can't catch a break in Hollywood. And we're sorry.
Or in life. You know, or in America for that.
We're so sorry about that.
Okay, so let me quickly... it's Fassbender and Fincher. We got 2 Fs.
Yeah, man.
And I'm excited to see it. We're hoping... I had never even heard or thought about this movie until I saw the preview, and I was like, ooh, this looks interesting. It looks like kind of like an old man plays Jason Bourne.
With more killing.
And more effeminate eyelashes.
What?
Who doesn't love an effeminate...
You don't want to kill. This Fassbender, this seems like he's finishing the job, son.
And he seems a little like he might be OCD. I'm excited.
Hot take on that?
Tell me.
Hollywood, I know Barry was a success. I don't want any more content from killers. No more hired guns. No more assassinations. I don't want to know that person. We saw Ben Affleck do accounting and then do it at night. I don't want to see it anymore.
Shit, yeah, we did. An accountant assassin. Who thought of that movie? Who greenlit that? Hilarious.
These papers are making me angry.
Least excited to see. Sorry, guys. The Bob Marley movie. It looks bad. So it just looks bad.
Do you practice racism often, or just use it? It's like.
I don't practice anymore. It's just natural at this point.
Oh, cool.
You know when you've practiced something so long.
Okay. Like reggae is like a religion. Right?
All I'm saying is, in my opinion.
You're like anti-Semite.
I'm sorry. Are you excited to see the Bob Marley movie, Asaad? You're busy that day? Guess what? It got pushed to February of next year due to the strike. Darn, guess we'll have to...
I'm not joking.
Hold our breaths for that one.
But it's not due to the strike. It's literally...
Due to lack of interest.
No, it's the month. It's like...
Black History Month?
We always get a black movie in February.
Well, they pushed it. It was supposed to come out. So maybe they were like, okay, well...
why they pushed it
to February specifically rather than, like, say, December or whatever. And also... But now it's in a different award season, so maybe they saw it because usually they release big movies like Killers of the Flower Moon, all these big movies right before the end of the year, so that it's very top of mind when award season comes around January and February. So maybe they were like, yeah, we're not going to be a contender, so we might as well push to next year.
And Hollywood, another note from Asaad. A lot of good advice I'm giving Hollywood today.
You're welcome, Hollywood.
I think I'm smart enough to be a consultant for Hollywood, and a little creepy that he might try to sleep with you too.
Oh, totally. You got the ponytail going too. Yeah, you could just put a little lower.
You got great eyes. Wow.
My eyes are up here.
Oh yeah. So how committed are you?
Did I say eyes? I meant ass.
What was I gonna give advice? Oh, Hollywood.
Bob Marley.
Biopics.
Biopic.
Biopics. Sit down. Me and Sarah want to talk.
We just a quick word.
Was the drive-in okay?
Make it okay. Not a lot of traffic, I hope.
405, right? Took 405 hours to get anywhere. Hey, love what you've been doing.
Love it.
The whole Elton John thing really made a shift, though. And we appreciate the swings you took with Whitney.
Really, really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Elvis.
Because, yeah. 2 black leads. We love that.
Love that. Just because someone sang music doesn't mean you need to make a movie about it, though.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You can actually
unless it's like Britney Spears or like what's another white person that we could perhaps focus on? Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake. These are kind of the people that we want to see.
But in general, we want no more movies about people that sang songs. Okay, thank you for coming in, and honestly,
that's basically thank you so much. You can go, and no, we don't validate. Unfortunately,
no, we don't want that. We don't want your headshot. No. I'm sorry, we can't take that. Can we take that?
We can't. It's a COVID thing. We can't touch it.
Sorry. We'll call.
We will. Yes.
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you for coming.
Goodbye. Bye. God, biopic. Am I right?
Oh my God. What's next?
I think it's a great time to wrap it up and say thank you for watching.
Sorry, anything.
What you thought of Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm sure you already have in the comments.
Yes.
And then that's it. That's
Tell us what you thought of the first season of Killers of the Flower Moon.
The first season. Again, we will be rewatching The Bear. We keep teasing that. We haven't started yet, but we're giving you time if you want to start. You've got a couple of weeks.
What else we got?
That's it. And then we've got some more pods. We've got some fun new game coming out for you.
Oh, Logline. Have they not seen the Logline game yet?
We got a Logline game next week. Should be next week, yeah.
Sarah's always wanted to be a game show host, and she really channels her inner Steve Harvey / Drew Carey.
Watch this. What's the word where it's like you don't believe it?
Not bad. Let's see your Steve Harvey reaction.
That was my Steve Harvey.
Top 5 things that are cold. I say a furnace.
A furnace?
We'll get some work to do.
I
Guys,
just got
thank
Botox. Leave me alone. I can't make a furrowed brow.
Your level's
Thanks,
looking
Amanda.
great.
Thank you so much. Thanks to my Botox injector, and thank you to you all for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Love you guys.